Hey guys, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to Union Cross. We're going to be talking about the 2.6.0 update that's going to be coming hopefully in May, because it's going to be a monthly PvP system. But we're going to talk about everything that PvP is going to offer currently from what we know. And there's quite a bit of things when it comes to actually choosing what medals you guys want, because this really does determine, are you going to pull for these new stained glass medals? Is the medals you have good enough for PvP? Everything is kind of like coming together already. They're showing what they have planned, what you need to do, and it's actually really important when it comes towards pulling what you're going to pull next. So let's jump into this and let's look at that notice for the sneak peek basically. So Volume 1 of the update preview. So there's going to be more to that update than just this, but this is the PvP aspect. So today they're excited to announce a new PvP mode, which they have announced before, and during the Dandelions meeting, while I was there, they showed a preview of the PvP, and I gotta say, I really like it. I do really like it. It's not gonna be too, like, oh, whales are gonna dominate, because there is some kind of RNG involved in this, which doesn't really allow that to happen until, like, high tier, where everyone's just, like, going crazy. But even that, it's a different story. We'll talk about it. So for now, let's go over each part of this notice, and I want to really go into detail with this because there's important things here. So if you guys don't know already, PvP is a mode where we actually don't kill each other. Like, we don't have health bars. It's just we hit each other with our full Keyblade setup. Whoever does the most damage and gives the most points wins that round. It's best out of 3. One person goes first, and then the other person goes. Whoever wins that round with those Keyblades wins a round, and you got to win 3 rounds. So if you'll face off against other players using multiple Keyblades, you're going to have 3 Keyblade setups that you guys are going to have to make. Now, PvP, when we were watching it at the Dandelions meeting, the PvP is not going to be live, so you're not going to choose an opponent that's facing you like Union Cross, where you have your party and you're all playing at the same exact time. No, there's going to be a list of enemies or players that you can choose from. You're going to choose from one player who's stronger than you, one player who's just as strong as you, and one player that's weaker than you. So you have choices to move up. The harder, I'm guessing, enemy you face, if you actually get to beat them, you move up quicker. So choose your battles wisely at the same time. What's going to happen is that both of you, damage-wise, we know that the 3 Keyblades, this part's really important, because the Keyblades that you use during this PvP system is based on that month. So let's use a picture down here as an example. So let's say this starts in May, and you see Starlight, Olympia, and Fenrir. That is the only Keyblades you guys can use. You guys cannot use any of your other Keyblades. You have to use these 3 Keyblades. So first key thing from this, guys, is make sure that your Keyblades are at least level 25, and for more of the hardcore players, make sure all the good Keyblades are at level 35. So once you make every Keyblade 25, which is easy to do, you want to start upgrading your Keyblades to level 30 and then 35. That way, when the new month comes around and a Keyblade shows up, you know that's not going to be your weak Keyblade. Now, this is not mandatory, but this is if you want to be able to, like, dish out the most damage possible. Like a high score challenge, the more damage you do, the more score you get. So having a stronger multipliers on your Keyblade is going to make a big difference. But the key thing here is, just like the monthly gem quest, 3 Keyblades is going to be chosen every month, because this is a monthly PvP. And the reason I say this might come out in May is because it's a monthly PvP, and during the Dandelions meeting, they kept on making jokes with stuff. When can we expect PvP? When can we expect this? And the joke was they would say May, and then they would go maybe, like maybe soon. So I'm guessing it's May. Joke or no joke, it's going to be a month long. If it's not May, then it's June, because of the monthly ranking periods. Meaning, if they don't start in May, they're not going to start it halfway. And if they do, it's going to be a very short season, I guess, to maybe just kind of test it. So May early, June maybe the latest, maybe even July, but I doubt it. Being a sneak preview like this, I think it's going to be either May or June. That's just a guess. But again, 3 Keyblades. Make sure you're leveling up your Keyblades properly. Gems are everywhere. Gems are in avatar boards. There's gem pulls, high score challenges. Anything you do, there's gem. There's even gems in proud mode if you get far enough into proud mode. So there is a lot of gems in the game. Choose what you guys, choose what Keyblade you guys want to upgrade first, depending on what medals you have, and then upgrade all the other Keyblades to 35 before you start making Keyblades going past 35. You can always have one OP Keyblade like my Fairy Stars, but with this going on in PvP, I think I'm going to round all my Keyblades to 35 if I can. So We know that part already. When 3 Keyblades are used in PvP, you and your opponent will use them one at a time. So let's say this is the order you set up your Keyblade. Starlight first, Olympia, Fenrir. Round 1 is going to be your Starlight versus whatever their first Keyblade is. And that's important because over here on the last part in the little fine print, it says you and your opponent will alternate who gets the first attack each round. For example, if you get the first attack during round 1, which is my Starlight, on round 2, when I use my Olympia Keyblade, I'm going to go after he attacks me. So the second part here in the little fine print there says buffs and debuffs that last for multiple turns will carry over between rounds. And what does that mean? So anything you buff or debuff that has the wording saying 2 turns, 3 turns, whatever it is. So let's take an example, the Vexen we just got currently. So Vexen says deals 4 hits, 2 turns, raises all those defenses. And it also has a couple buffs there. But that's going to carry over into the next round of the PvP system. So on the first turn, this is a strategy you guys can use. Starlight is going to have Vexen in there. Vexen's going to buff your defenses. So when it comes to round 2, when your opponent goes first now, when he tries to hit you, maybe he put his better Keyblade in the second turn, he's going to have to deal with all those buffs and debuffs that you have. So you can kind of strategize where maybe I don't have a lot of strong medals, but I have a lot of strong defense medals that carry over for 2 turns or even carry over for that turn. So it's not going to be just about who has the strongest medals. The opponent still has to deal with your buffs, your defense buffs. Remember that. Also, you can lower the opponent's attack as well with Vexen and Zexion and Chicken Little. That's a thing as well. So when they buff with only a Kyrie and they didn't copy it or something, they're going to lose 2, 3, depending on extra attack, multiple strengths. And if you have defense plus lowering their attack, even if you have really weak attack medals, you guys can still make up for that with this whole who goes first, who goes second, and choosing your Keyblades. It's very, very important. So that whole buff and debuff thing is really, really important. So you guys should look out for medals in the future that come out for 2 turns, 3 turns, so on and so on. They're going to be game changers in PvP. So those are very important things so far, guys. PvP is going to be monthly. It's going to be chosen what Keyblades by the creators of the game. They're going to choose just like the monthly gem quest, and buffs and debuffs carry over. So level up your Keyblades. Now let's kind of break down this screenshot of what they showed us so far. At the event when I was there, the Danny's Lines meeting, on the top right of the screen, it showed tries 97. But down here, it shows daily tries 4. So I'm taking a guess here, but maybe PvP is not going to be something like a Coliseum where you can do as much as you want every day, anytime. Maybe you can only do 5 tries per day. Because again, this is a strategy of PvP where, like I just talked about, defense medals, buffing, removing buffs, so on and so on, organizing which Keyblade goes first. Somebody who has 3 powerful Keyblade setups that are just pure damage might not win all the time. So daily tries 5. You guys can go in 5 times, do it, and then you can't try again. That means your 5 tries really, really have to count. They do. So that does put, I think, kind of like a safety cap that whales won't dominate all the time. That way someone who's smart and plays smart can actually beat someone who has a lot better medals than them. So daily 5 tries. If this is a thing, guys, I am going to be doing my upload. I'll upload all 5 of my PvPs on my main account and all 5 of my free-to-play accounts on my channel every day that I can do it, if there's a limit. If there's not a limit, then I'll still probably just show you guys 5 PvPs, like maybe every so often or every day. I don't know yet, but I'm very curious about that daily tries, because if that's a thing, it's going to change this in just a little bit, but we'll talk about that when it happens. Second thing to note here, guys, is there's an optimize button. So how good is this going to be? If I push that button, is it going to take in consideration how many buffs and debuffs I have? Is it going to add a medal that buffs my defenses? Is this going to put pure best strength medals, or is it going to organize it by the best multipliers? I'm very curious in how they're going to use that optimize medals button, which we all know in every game, guys. Optimize medal buttons just don't really cut it. They're good for like auto battling some farming quests or trash mobs or stuff like that, but when you're facing a real life opponent, it's better to make your own Keyblade setup. So I'm very curious though to see how good that optimized medals button is. Just very curious that they would actually put that there. I guess that's like a noob thing. So if someone's really new to the game and they don't know what's going on, that might give them a general idea of what to do. But remember, a lot of medals don't have to be on their attribute slot, so that Aqua doesn't have to be on an upright speed, or that Kairi doesn't have to be on a 2.3. She can be on the second slot being copied by a copycat. So is it going to optimize that kind of stuff too? We'll see, guys. And the last couple things here are extremely important, and during the Danny's Lines meeting, when I saw them play, out of the 3 Keyblades that they showed, only 1 Keyblade had a Kairi and a Xion. There was no other one. One opponent had Kairi on 1 Keyblade out of the 3. The other one had a Xion out of their 3. There was no other Kairi, or Xion on each Keyblade. And that's because of the part right over here, guys. So, unlike normal, you cannot use the same medal more than once in different setups. So, at first, I was like, whoa, this is cool, because I've been telling people this whole time, do not fuse your Kairis or Xion EXs together, because one, you don't have to guilt them, you want to keep them as weak as possible for high score challenges, and now you can use your multiple copies on multiple setups. But then someone, Zykes, I think to be exact, in my stream, mentioned maybe it means you just can't use more than one of that specific medal. Even if you have 5 copies of Kairi X all separate, you're only allowed 1 of the same medal per Keyblade. So that means if you do have 5 copies, you can only put 1 copy on one of those 3 Keyblades. Even though you have multiples, you can't put 1 on each. You only can put 1. Or it's what I initially thought, and if you have 3 copies or 5 copies, you can put 1 on Starlight, 1 on Olympia, and 1 on Fenrir, as long as you have the extra copies. But it could be either or at this point. The way it words it though, you cannot use the same medal more than once in a different setup. It's saying the same medal. So if you think about it, the same medal, if you have a second copy, it's not really the same medal. It's the same type of medal, the same character and all that, but it's not the same medal if you have 2 copies. I have 1 copy here and 1 copy here. So we'll find out what happens when it gets to that part. The rest says here on the PvP mode Keyblade screen, you can customize the order of your Keyblades and the medals in each setup. So this is where we're going to customize our setup. Just like when we go to equipment, that's how you're going to switch around. But this is really important. They highlighted all the important things, guys, that you really, really need to understand, because all of this matters a lot when it comes to the polling system now. 1, the buffs and debuffs carrying over. You want to look out for those multiple turn medals. 2, with that being said, you want medals like, let me organize this real quick, but you want medals like the Illustrated Bell and Beast, the other medals that take away buffs and debuffs, like Alice over here removes target status effects. It's going to be really, really important to have medals like that. I don't know if they're going to show me my Illustrated Bell and Beast there. There it is. So Illustrated Bell and Beast has a raise your strength by 3 tiers for 1 turn, but it removes the target status effect. So if they do buff themselves and it carries over, your next Keyblade setup will remove those buffs. So that's another strategy. So you want to look out for medals like that as well. But there's also this medal right here, the SDGC. He does the same thing while buffing you. But this all goes into coordination with PvP coming out, these stained glass medals. If you are not allowed to use the multiple copies of your Kairi or Xion on different Keyblade setups, even though you own them more than 1 copy, you're going to have to start pulling for medals like these to help you in each PvP setup. So if we can't use more than 1, we're going to have to use 1 on each Keyblade. So technically, it's going to be really important to kind of have 1 of each of these, just to have them as your buffers and debuffers to complement every Keyblade when they come out monthly. Now, are these the end-all, say-all? No, especially because it says 8 million downloads and these are limited to this banner. This can't be the end. That means there's going to be better medals coming out more and more and more. These are just the early access to PvP. So the first PvP month is probably going to be circled around these and nothing else except for Kairi, Xion, and some other strategies like I told you with Bell and Beast if you have extra attack. So these are going to be really important for the first month of PvP, but they're not the end-all, say-all. Like I said, if there's only 5 tries per day, you're going to have other strategies you guys can come up with instead of just pure damage. You just got to hinder your opponents, make them weak. Like, is skills like paralysis, poison, and sleep going to do anything? I don't know. We're going to find out as we go, guys. Which if they are, even more strategies on top of strategies, not just damage. So it's not super important that you have every single medal here. I would say go for the one that complements your setup the best. Like my main account, which I'm on right now, my Fenrir is a really good setup. I don't think I have it set up perfectly right now. I kind of do. Here we go. So I got my Warrior Light being copied 3 times. I can take away this Vexen, and I can add in my Cloud over here. And then we can go into that new medal that we just got, like that. I can do a setup like this, and this is perfect buffs and debuffs. And that's why I kind of want to go for Riku, is because my upright power setup is incredible. Also, Riku does fit on the Fenrir here. It fits on the Stroke of Midnight in the beginning, Fenrir, and the Fairy Stars 2.1 because they can buff themselves. Other Keyblades, there might be other situations, but for me, that's 3 good reasons already why I should be using Riku. But everyone else is going to be different, and at the same time, I don't really think I need it because I do have extra attack on my Kairi X, and having that extra attack on Kairi X really does buff any debuffs that goes on to me. Like I was talking about the strategy, guys, where you can debuff your opponent, so lower the general defense and all that, but if I have 3 casts of Kairi X, and I use my copycat medal instead of bringing in a Riku, I can raise my general defense up again to recover all the damage that happened during the first round that carries over. So having Kairi in the middle of the setup of the rounds to have like 3 cast up can really fix all the damage that they did. But you don't need that as well because you can also cure your own status ailments with certain medals that no longer exist. So there is plenty of things we can do, but PvP is around the corner, and I really want to talk about this in a separate video because there is a lot to cover, especially when it comes to be careful. If you want to be competitive in PvP, you're really going to have to select what medals you're going for from this point on. You're going to have to save your jewels, you're going to have to skip out on OP medals that look great for other things, but not that great for a PvP. There's going to be medals specifically just for PvP, I guarantee it, like I just talked about all the different strategies. So just pick and choose what you guys are going for from this point on if you really want to be competitive in the PvP aspect. So I think that's everything, guys. I still haven't decided what I want to pull for. I know I said Riku, but there's 24 days on those banners, and at the same time, I don't feel like we're going to need them to be competitive, because if they're limited and they don't come back, that is just totally unfair to the entire PvP system. So this is just early access, just like VIP when I talked about in my past, guys. This is just early access, sneak preview to the medals coming out in the future. And the stained glass medals, there is a Xion there, so there could be a new buffer besides Kairi and Xion coming out very soon. So keep an eye out for that as well. If you guys want to add anything to the PvP system, I know there's some things I didn't touch on. I just wanted to point out what they're showing us so far. There's a lot of incredible things. I cannot wait for PvP because it's going to be a whole new thing in the game. It's not going to be the same old high score challenge, Coliseum, a couple events here and there. Now we have PvP on top of it. You have Union Cross. There's so many different quests in this game, and it's so good to see. Yeah, you guys might be complaining some of its whale status, all that, but there's so much to do. You guys can choose what you want to play the most instead of the same repetitive stuff over and over again. This is something new and something fresh, and I cannot wait to see more of it and see it to be refined and to turn into something better every single time it gets updated. So I'm really excited for PvP, guys. Let me know if you are in the comment section. What part you're scared of, what part you're excited for, how are you preparing for everything? I want to know, guys. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.